Welcome. Let's pause for getting out the super special bell. You do not need a super special bell, but I was interested enough in having a super special bell that I got one. Hello, Sarah. Welcome. So, hello and welcome to the Afternoon Idol. It's probably if the Do Nothing Project is the least active live stream on YouTube, then we're in the top 5. So this is the Afternoon Idol. I am Andrew Leonards. I'm a certified mindfulness meditation coach in the Unified Mindfulness System. You can find out more about UM at unifiedmindfulness.com. I am many things, but I am not a licensed mental health professional or a therapist. I am a Zen practitioner, but I am not authorized to teach anything about Zen per se. I love Zen though, because the stories are awesome. So just as an aside, I did get a question kind of like, what Buddhism am I? Kind of wasn't how it was phrased. It was much more elegant than that. But am I Buddhist and what tradition? So Soto Zen, if that matters. Human, all those other things. So this is an exploration in comparing a sort of different styles of techniques and efforting around meditation. So one way of looking at meditation is that all of the techniques that we offer to you are different ways for you to experience you in real time. That resonates with you, cool. If it sounds circular and silly, then, that's just me. But the other notion here from UM, hello, Gabrielle, thank you for joining live. The other notion from UM is that we can sort of look at meditation as mindfulness meditation, the coming together of 3 specific sort of core skills, and that's concentration, clarity, and equanimity. And so what we're doing usually on this channel is we're playing around with a technique where you're putting in action some technique, you're doing something. And then we're contrasting that in a short about 15-minute sit with this idea of just being aware and kind of like letting go of the wheel, just letting things happen as they will. And the notion is to begin to see that there may be for the way your nervous system is configured right now, an in between that is helpful between the doing something and doing nothing, or that you need to be supported appropriately, that you need even more of something. You need more structure. So that's what we're playing around with. We're sort of exploring that using the Consciousness Explorers well-trod sort of analogy of being explorers, or an inner explorer maybe. If you have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, you can always put those in the chat box, which I think is over there, but might be over there. We'll sit for about 15 minutes. Today is Thursday, and by popular request, we did a technique where we took our something that we normally do at the front, and we switched our do nothing technique and our do something, our representative of team do something, and we switch them around. So what we'll do today is we'll begin with a technique called do nothing, and then we'll end with today's representative for do something will be feel rest. I am selfish in that I usually guide something that is matching up for where I'm at, and I'm feeling combination of kind of like excited but yet also dreadful and so I'm looking for, all this is alive in my experience, but is there is there a restful part, or is there a calm within that? So when I'm looking for that as a pairing, I'll use feel rest. Real quickly, the way that unified mindfulness sort of abstracts our ability to meet what's coming to us, or what's alive in our sensory experience, is we offer up 3 categories, these abstract categories of see, hear, and feel. And those categories are sorry, our dog Billy has made an entrance. She'll be joining us somewhere below. You can see her right there. So we have these 3 categories, as I was mentioning. Stay on track. See, hear, and feel. And so there's an inner and outer aspect to each of them. And Billy, come on. So there's an inner and outer aspect to each of them. And so what we'll look at today, so I've covered them before, so excuse me for skipping over it. What we'll look at today is just the feel category. So what's in feel? Feel is all of your physical body sensations, and we collapse smell and taste for completeness in that as well. And then the inner dimension of feel is the emotional body sensations. So emotional body sensations can show up differently for individuals. Usually it's in the gut or sort of around the torso, the face, maybe the cheeks, jaw. There's a Scandinavian research lab that has done some sort of color coding on like where people feel what sort of emotions, if you're curious about that. So like where do emotions show up in the body, I think is something you can search for and see that. It's probably 10 years old though. Super, super interesting research. So we'll do that. We'll do feel. And then what we're bringing to the experience that's a little different is looking for qualities of rest. What is rest? Rest is when you notice activation drop off significantly. So you notice a sort of settling, or like this sort of almost a sensory version of like, right? So there you were active and now you're not. And so if there's nothing happening, that we can think of also as rest. So if there's no activation in the emotional body, rest. If you aren't feeling sort of the buzz quality of this, of your skin on your clothes or things along those lines, if there's no physical body sensation to note, then we can label that rest. And then if anything is outside of that category, we can consider it outside of our range, our focus range, and no big deal. We take our attention, or when we notice that, we take our attention kind of lovingly by the hand and bring it back to the focus range. So in this case, feel. So yeah. So yesterday I didn't say that much, and today I probably said too much. So then again, we'll start out with do nothing at the beginning. We let whatever happens happen. And we, in essence, are just sort of settling into the beingness of being in the body. And then I'll cue you at the end to switch over about halfway through to this rest, feel rest technique. Let's do this. And then at the end, if you have questions, comments, reports, any of that, you can put that into chat. If you're watching the recording of this, you can always comment as well. So I invite you to be both relaxed, or to adopt a posture to be both relaxed and alert. Think upright, dignified, or if this resonates more with you, strong back, soft front. And as we adopt a posture, we can be seated in a chair, or we can be seated cross-legged on a cushion, or laying down, standing. Anywhere that's in between, again, ideally comfortable, sitting in a way that we can be relaxed and alert. Quickly checking into our experience. We hold tension in different places. So just seeing if there's any tension. For me, I check the shoulders and around the neck, the eyes. I squint a lot. And often when we notice the tension, it will subside or melt. And if it doesn't, then it's our first opportunity to bring no big deal quality to this sit together today. And before we shift into do nothing, just seeing if we can establish a bit more calm and ease through some deliberate breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. So we're leaning on the three sages of the five boroughs, the Beastie Boys here. Slow and low is our tempo. So breathing in through the nose helps slow down the breath and fill the lower lungs. Breathing out through the nose, extending and accentuating. As Jeff Warren says, the downward motion helps to cue the nervous system that it's okay to shift into a rest and relaxation state. So to begin, we're going to sit and know that we're sitting. Or put another way, we'll allow whatever is alive or whatever is happening to happen. And if neither of those points resonate with you, just see how still you can be. When the body gets still, oftentimes, but not always, the mind will follow. So explore this position of allowing our attention to roam where it wants and just being still. When we're in this open stance, we may feel less supported. So if getting still didn't help to settle what's going on right now for you, then there's a few things we can try. One is sort of check your posture, see about stretching up and settling back in. Just seeing if there's a way to position the body that helps to establish that settling effect. And then the other may be to consider opening your eyes, if that's a possibility for you. Maybe allowing the gaze to be soft and focused down at your desk, maybe to avoid the screen. A few things to play with and see if any of them help. So keep exploring. Good. So we'll transition into the feel rest technique for about 6 minutes. So what we'll begin to do is we're going to put into action a noting technique. We'll see where our attention is inside feel. Again, that's the physical body and emotional body. And we can choose to have our attention sort of coat and cover the entire body all at once, sort of panoramic or lantern perspective of awareness. Noticing the body as a whole, soaking the attention in, and optionally labeling it feel. And from this panoramic perspective, we may notice rest, perhaps in the rib cage or the thigh or the feet. We can allow our attention to move to that part of the body, soaking the attention in and labeling it rest. If there's no rest available, we can go back to being in contact with the body. So allowing our attention to float freely within the body, or this panoramic or wide angle view. And if the attention is pulled away, again, no big deal. with care, we bring our attention back. And if there's a desire or curious need to play around with creating rest, you can consider stretching the body up and settling back in. And as you do that, seeing if there's any rest available. Or as you breathe, see if there's rest around the sensations of the breath. The belly gently expands and contracts. The rib cage moves. The torso extends up slightly and down. Maybe the movement cascades a feeling of relaxation in the back. Any and all of these are available, just invitations. You're in control. Explore, feel rest. If your eyes have been closed, I invite you to open them and re-engage your surroundings at your own pace. Thank you for your practice. Thank you for spending 25 plus minutes with me and indulging my 8 minutes at the top. And again, normally we'll do, I always like switching this Thursdays. Normally we'll do the do nothing at the end. But I like to play with starting with the nothing, just to see what that's like. The meta idea for me in doing these guidance is a little bit playing on the notion that Jeff has to empower folks to experiment with what's going on in playing with techniques and pairing them with where you're at, and kind of like what's alive in the nervous system, and like what could I pair with the experience I'm having right now. And we can think of that in one way. Jeff likes to think about this as like a sort of a level one or first level intervention of changing states. So he'll often talk about that. So that's kind of where I'm coming from, but who knows if I'm making the mark on that. Tough to say. Excellent, Jennifer. You are very welcome. Yeah, rest is a very common theme for me. I would say, not that we need superlatives, but feel rest was the probably the go-to technique for me as far as unified mindfulness, what's in the unified mindfulness. In my beginning of meditation, I did a lot of breath focus and breath counting meditation and sort of concentration. And that meant that I was able to create rest. But then in focusing on it, it increased the second skill I talk about, the unified mindfulness brings the skills perspective of clarity. I got more sensory clarity on looking for that rest. You start to, the pattern matching of your brain begins to become sensitized to it, and you begin to find it in areas that you may have overlooked in the past. So there's a richness in exploring it as a regular technique. And just as an aside, rest is available or may be available to everyone in all three categories, in see, hear, and feel. So yeah, I'm glad that was good for you. And then I think I've answered this question before. Maybe I haven't. I like to put the do nothing at the end because it's a little bit like when I go on bike rides around where I live, coming home is downhill. So kind of once I get kind of over a certain point, it's all sort of downhill on the way home. And so when I'm riding and I don't want to be riding or I'm just not feeling it, I kind of am like, okay, I just need to get to that one sort of spot, and then it's kind of all downhill. And it's funny because when I make it to that spot and I'm in this sort of coasting downhill, I suddenly love cycling. It's amazing. And so it reinforces in me the sensitize that resistance that I have when I'm, trying to move and be physically active. So have an excellent Thursday. Friendliness Friday tomorrow. We will do a friendliness or nurture positive, loving kindness, all synonyms for the same thing, meta practice, tomorrow. And then again, we're going to keep going for the foreseeable future. We'll see here. For those that are in the 10% Happier Challenge right now, if you haven't connected to me, you can find the link to connect to me through Instagram. My handle on Instagram is just my last name, Leonards, Lenard, as in David, S as in Sam. And then you can also message me there, or you can leave comments on the videos. Traffic on the video or on the channel is low enough that I'm able to see those and interact. So it's the bottom of the hour. I'm actually going to be on time today. Thanks. See you later.